500,000 Armenians died during the Ottoman Empire more than a century ago in modern-day Turkey. In the past, U.S. presidents have marked a Remembrance Day for the massacre, but Biden is the first in 3 decades to refer to it as a genocide. Turkish president has denounced the statement as a debate politicized by third parties. And joining us now is David Smith, The Guardian's Washington bureau chief. David, Joe Biden is the first president to recognize this massacre as a genocide since Ronald Reagan, who used that word in 1981. We've already heard an angry response from Turkey. Can you talk about the political calculation Biden is making here?
Yes, I think Joe Biden is wanting to show his commitment to human rights as a central pillar of foreign policy is more important than geopolitical calculations and pragmatism. This did seem, there were several hours of discussions apparently about this at the White House, and they decided that the trade-off was worth it. Other presidents had made this promise during election campaigns, including Barack Obama, and then not followed through. That sort of thing gets noticed. Biden decided he did want to make good on his pledge, show that human rights are significant. He knew he'd certainly get some applause from the U.S. Congress. There's very little downside there. Many senators and representatives have been pushing for this for a while, and already the reaction on Saturday was quite favorable. Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, saying our hearts are full of joy that Biden has made this decision. History teaches us that if we ignore its darkest chapters, we are destined to witness the horrors of the past be repeated. Jack Reed, a Democratic senator, also praised it as an important victory for truth and honesty. So I think it comes in the context of Biden has a cooler relationship with Erdogan of Turkey than Donald Trump did. And while it may create some wrinkles in that relationship, he decided that was a price worth paying.
Well, so you mentioned those wrinkles. You know, the U.S. and Turkey are already not on the greatest of terms. What do you think this will mean for relations between the U.S. and Turkey going forward and U.S. policy?
It will certainly add to the strain. Turkey could try to respond in negative ways, maybe make life more difficult for the U.S. In Syria with the Kurds. The U.S. operates an air base in Turkey. That might become more problematic. We know that Biden called Erdogan yesterday to tell him about this decision. Turkey has obviously condemned it publicly and may use it to whip up support domestically. But I think the long-term calculation here on the part of the U.S. was that Turkey is unlikely to suddenly pivot away from the West towards China or Russia. It is a NATO ally. I think the hope is that the statement will come and go and it will not alter the fundamentals. And there was a more important principle at stake here, and also a more important message to the world that after 4 years of Donald Trump, America is back, it argues, showing moral leadership on issues of genocide.
Okay, David Smith, The Guardian's Washington bureau chief. Thanks so much for that. I want to turn now to our correspondent in Ankara, Jasper Mortimer. Jasper, the news was welcomed by the Armenian community, but has been met by anger in Turkey. What exactly has been the reaction from the government there?
The Turkish Foreign Ministry issued a statement very quickly. It had obviously prepared it well in advance, saying that it denounced Biden's statement, quote, in the strongest terms. It said Biden's remarks had no legal basis and were not supported by any evidence. It said the nature of the events of 1915 don't change according to current political motives. It said Biden's statement served only to, quote, satisfy certain political circles. In other words, without actually saying so, the foreign ministry was accusing President Biden of pandering to the Armenians in America. I might say that Washington could reply that Biden's statement was at least partly based on the findings of the U.S. ambassador in the court of the Ottoman Sultan at that time, At that part, during the first years of the genocide, 1915, 1916, the US was not at war with Turkey. And so the US ambassador, Henry Morgenthau, could move around the country, report on what was happening, and he also confronted the Ottoman authorities about what was happening. And afterwards, he wrote a book. The book is well known. I've got it here.
We should also mention that, Turkey is saying, that presidential spokesperson is saying that the U.S. should look at its own past after the recognition of the Armenian genocide. Jasper, I understand you've been able to talk to some Armenians who live in Turkey. What's been their reaction to this?
Yes, the Armenians in Turkey now number only 60,000. They have one member of parliament. His name is Garo Paylan. He represents Istanbul for the pro-Kurdish party, the People's Democratic Party. I spoke to him before Biden's statement was issued today. He hoped that Biden's calling the massacres genocide would make Turkey's leadership see that its policy of denying genocide cannot be sustained. However, what the Armenians of Turkey really want is for Turks to face up to what happened. Paylan said he doesn't mind if Turks evade the word genocide. Turks don't like the word genocide because that means that the killings were systematic. Turkey has always argued that the killings occurred as a result of unrest in the turmoil of the First World War. Paylan doesn't mind if Turks today evade the word genocide. What he wants is for them to face up to the fact that atrocities did occur and to allow them to be discussed in Parliament. Interestingly, Paylan, speaking before Biden issued his statement, actually expressed the same point that Biden did. Biden came out and saying, in his statement, Biden said that he was doing this not to cast blame, but, quote, to ensure that what happened is never repeated. Paylan said to me today that, unpunished crimes lead to new crimes.
Okay, Jasper Mortimer, our correspondent there in Ankara, thanks so much for that. Thousands of Armenians marked this Remembrance Day in Yerevan. As we just heard, they've long sought to have the massacre recognized as a genocide, a claim fiercely rejected by Turkey. They're also demanding financial compensation from Ankara and the return of property for the descendants of those killed in the massacre.